And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 100th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Matty Allin with Brisology. ChrispyMan of Hexfire.io is joining us shortly. How's it going?
Hey, congratulations on 100 episodes. That's very impressive. That's quite
Hey,
quite the milestone.
thanks. Yeah, I've never had a show with more than just myself that reached the triple digits. So we used to have Quant Gang on Tuesday nights, and that made it for a lot. Had a really good run, and now here we have Game Theory Gang reaching 100. So shout out to everybody who's been a guest on the show. Shout out to Brisology, ChrispyMan, and Tobiwan, who are the mainstays. And shout out to everybody who's hitting the like and subscribe button and retweet button. Thanks for 100 great episodes.
Thanks for being here, everybody. You know who else?
Yeah.
Probably, I honestly don't think he's missed a single episode. Mr. Melv Tony in the chat.
Hey, all right. Yeah, we got a lot of people here who
I
are
feel like he's been
regulars.
here the whole
So
time with
shout
us.
out to Mel Tony et al. And yeah, I mean, look, we got a great show for you tonight. So hit the like and subscribe button, share this out. Um, we're gonna have ChrispyMan joining us shortly. I am here away from my home on my last day of caregiving for a family member who got some good news recently. So that's awesome. And
Oh, good.
yeah, really appreciate all the support and the prayers. And we're gonna keep the prayers going for Tobiwan's family as well, and all the people that we're taking care of in the world.
Yes, sir.
Um, Man, this has been a super busy week. Even though I've only been working about 25 to 50% of my normal time, man, there's been so much happening.
It flew by. I was like,
Yes,
all of a sudden it's Tuesday. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have a show to do today.
that's right. And normally for the 100th episode, if you have a Broadway show or if you have a show like Seinfeld or something, you're supposed to play a bunch of reruns and clips of like your best hits. But we just keep
True.
hitting. So we got to do it live, right?
This train ain't slowing down. There's no brakes on this train, baby.
That's right. Because we got pressure building for Coinbase to list PulseChain. We got your friend Sami raining on everybody's parade in maybe a good or a bad way. We got some new statistics from Ben Sierra Pro that we could do a little preview on. Things that are unknown about Hex. Literally things I've always dreamed of knowing. That's pretty cool. What else do we have tonight? We have Drunk Michael Saylor. Just kidding. He's not going to be on the show. We have a doppelganger. I have a doppelganger who plays professional baseball and also uh, is a stunt double for Nicolas Cage. So that's a big deal.
That
And
was that was pretty funny.
the God.
I was gonna say I did see Cabana Crypto's tweet where he's like, "This guy looks like he's about to hold another Hex conference," and had the picture of the baseball player. I thought that was really funny.
And it was a quote tweet of somebody saying that the baseball player looked like he was going to play in a Nicolas
Steal the
Cage movie.
Constitution.
That's right.
That's
Uh,
true. That's true. You do look like a young Nicolas Cage.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going for glory here for Hex and PulseChain and PulseX, of course. You know that baseball player's name is Matt. It just keeps
The
getting weirder, doesn't
simulation
it?
is crashing.
That's right.
They're
That's right.
overwriting files.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a PulseChain copy that was worth something. Hello, Matrix. We weren't supposed to get less than 12-cent Hex, but
So is the
somehow I
baseball
got
player, is
copied.
that E Maddie and you're P Maddie?
That's right. Yeah.
So I got a question. Did you see Ben Armstrong's price prediction for Pulse.
Let me guess. He's not talking shit for once.
Ben Armstrong, Bit Boy.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed pretty neutral on Hex for a long time. Never said anything about PulseChain, and now it seems like he's going all in.
Now he's all in. He had a price prediction of a quarter of a penny, 25% of a cent for PLS.
You better not tell Sami that.
What was Sami's price prediction?
He's just reading the crowd. So if the crowd is really bullish, then he thinks it's bad. And if the crowd is really sour on the whole thing, then he thinks it's bullish. So
Look at that. Agent J says, Maddie,
yeah,
you look like Nick Cage on the thumbnail.
that's not even me. It's a triple doppelganger situation. Or maybe it's foreshadowing that there will be another fork of PulseChain. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that.
Freddie Quote says, congrats on the 100 shows, Maddie. 100 shows is nothing to
Thanks.
get excited about on the way to 10,000 shows. Keep
Ooh,
going.
throwing down the gauntlet, RH style. That sounds like an RH quote.
It does sound like an RH quote, doesn't it?
Well, what he said was, hey guys, 10-cent hex isn't anything on the way to $100 hex.
That's true.
And
That
that's part
was
of what started all this drama of people saying we can't do a 10,000x. But I think a lot of people aren't factoring in the fact that a lot of people sell on a a lot of people sell on a double, sell on a double, sell on a double. It's part of scaling out of something, I guess. But just depends how degenerate and high risk you are in this game. But hey, I mean, I have no idea what's gonna happen. My bags are packed.
I'm seeing if I can find the tweet with the price prediction on it.
Did you hear the breaking news I had from Thursday?
What was it?
So the God Whale has the same number of T shares as the OA.
Really?
They both have 1.5 million. But if you look at how long they have them for, the God Whale has way longer stakes. And so if you look at a metric that I call T share years, right? Because a T
Oh
share is
yeah.
something that expires and then you have to buy it at a higher price. Yeah, I mean the God Whale is leading the pack even with the OA. So the OA's rank dropped to number 2 when it comes to T shares over time, basically.
Maybe that's something maybe you can go over again is sorry, excuse me. Could you maybe explain T-share years again? How do I look at my stakes in year and the way that you're explaining it?
Yeah, the way you would do it is you would go to hexfire.io, and there's a tab called the Allin rank, and I can pull it up here if the internet will allow. I do have in between 1 and 2 bars of
Well, here
service
I'll
here.
maybe I'll pull it up and maybe you can guide me through.
Oh, here it comes.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, so you got hexfire.io, then you zoom in, you can see Allin rank over here. So I'm going to click on that, and then to get actually I had to use so many tools to get this data, and I'll show like a graphic here in a second. But I had to use so many tools to get this data. I couldn't just go to one place because this Hexfire doesn't include the OA. But if I go, I've got a list here of the Godwills stakes. One of them crashes Hex Scout, which is another awesome tool. So I just calculated myself here, but I'm gonna plug in these addresses, and then we're gonna see how it actually shows up in days, and then you subtract by 365. But this should do it. So this is the.
I put in one of my addresses. You Am I gonna dox myself if I tell you how many T-share days I have remaining?
Yes. You are absolutely going to dox yourself if you say the exact number of days. So you should like change it by 5 or 10% and then say that number.
But it's counting all my stakes, right? Or people just will simply be able to find it.
If it's counting all your stakes, then it might not dox you. Still round it a little bit.
All right. So, I figure this is a lot, but it says I have 23 million total T-share days remaining.
23 million days. There you go.
Yeah. Am
That's
I even gonna be able
yeah.
to survive that?
Well, it's interesting because in the examples that I gave on the episode from last week, basically T-share count is an imperfect measure because you have the same count at the beginning of all your stakes as you do near the end, right? And so I gave an example of that. I've got some like graphics to show all that, but basically that's the idea. Is T-share count isn't counting down the whole time, and so you could be going for multiple years thinking you're doing okay, but really people are coming in after you, and they're going to be getting way more of the compound interest at the end of the day. So I mean, let me show you here. This I think this graphic is going to show it the best, and it's going to go back to the Godwill versus the OA. And you can see here in this graphic that here's like one of my onboards with like 9 T-shares worth $1,000, and it's like completely flat on the floor. And then here's a whale, like an average whale, not an average whale, but the minimum whale has 96,000 T-shares in Hex because there's 9.6 million T-shares. And then this is where the Godwill and the OA are. They both have 15% of the T-shares each. They're up at very close to 1.5 million each, right? So that looks pretty close. It looks like the OA is winning, right? With like 0.7% more T-shares of the system. But then if we come look at T-share years, which is the number of T-shares multiplied by the number of years left, the OA daughters have 24% of the current supply of T-share years. Everyone else has 37% of T-share years, being 10.6 million. And then the real Godwill has 39% of all the T-share years at 11.2 million.
That's insane.
It's insane. So we can extrapolate from that because I checked these numbers perfectly through multiple sources. We can extrapolate that if we take 11 million, let's say 200,000, and if we divide that by the total number of T-shares that the real Godwill has, which is like 1.5 million, then we find that the average length, the average T-share that the Godwill has 7.4 more years to go on it. So yeah,
until his next
that's kind of a new way to look at T-shares.
Gotcha.
That I think is really important.
Are you saying his average length stake is 7 years plus?
No, because the stakes were started a couple of years ago. So the average that you see on Hex Scout, if it would load, I mean, this is too many t-shirts to even load into there, but if it would load, it would tell you a number like 9.5 years is the average stake length. But 2 of those years have already gone by, and you already know what the interest is for those years. But remember, if you take a compound interest function or a compound yield function, the majority of the gains are at the end of the curve because the curve is going exponential. So that's why T-share years is such a more important and accurate measure of what you're going to end up with, because the count that you have could be already halfway done. You know, we're 3.5 years into Hex, and the average stake length was 7 years. So most people have already burned through half of their time getting this cheap T-share miner. But now you can better calculate what you're going to have in the future through this. So hopefully that's helpful to people. Hey, ChrispyMan's here. What's up, man?
Hey, Matty. How are you?
Oh, wait, a few more minutes.
That's all right. God
Hey,
will knows
going?
what's up.
Hey.
You sound really good, ChrispyMan.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm working on some data stuff. So I'm going to stay quiet and off screen for a few more minutes.
Well, I don't know how quiet you can stay if we start talking about Comm.
I think I'm going to Comm. Yeah. I like Comm.
But yeah, I mean,
Family
so
show.
that's another thing that happened this week is the God Whale claimed Comm, which was worth, I think, $4 or $5 million at the time. And Comm is a free, it's an ongoing free claim to people who have T-shares already or who create new T-shares. And the value of that has been as high as 10 to 15% if you're doing a Quattro Cinco stake, which is really incredible, that you're getting that cash back. And then I think for a legacy staker, I think the value is like $4 to $6 per T-share that you're claiming worth of Comm on PulseChain alone. And then you have another $1 or $2 per T-share worth on Ethereum now. And so people can go to hexcommunity.com and claim your communist token there. But the fact that the God Whale claimed is, I think, a big deal.
Yeah, it's pretty important. Shows, it kind of shows the behavior. Maybe other people start taking it a little bit more seriously.
Totally, that's what I was thinking. And to make it really simple for people, the options that you choose, I actually put it in my Medium article that I posted at the end of the article about the God Whale and the OA. You can go to mattyallen.medium.com. I mean, you could probably walk yourself through claiming Comm token yourself, but basically the big idea is if you stake 100% of your Comm, you're going to start earning 5% APY paid in Comm tokens. And at any time later, you can take that out. The principal, and you might lose the 5% if you haven't served 6 months. But basically, that's like the place to start, because then you can decide at any time to come back and sell your Comm. But you can't go back at any time and start staking it again and earn 5% yield. Only when you mint it.
I do wish
time
the
can you do
Comm
that.
website was a little bit better, because it's kind of scary where it's like, do you want to stake this or do you want to claim it? I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here. So
I didn't know what to do either at first.
Well, we have answers. We have answers, as you guys talked about it. How you doing, Matty? Congratulations, 100 episodes.
Thanks. Congratulations to you. You've been here probably 98% of the episodes at least.
Yeah, 97, 98. Yeah, been here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, on the Comm front, I think the number one question everybody has is what is it? And it's a rebate. I started calling it cash back, but it's not really cash, right? It's a rebate. And so when people go claim their comm, they can use it for whatever they want, right? Now, I've been taking a lot of heat for talking about it the last couple of weeks because people are like, oh, you're just trying to get people to get into Hex. Listen, if you don't want to get into Hex, don't get into Hex, right? But if you are going to be mining Hex, it makes sense to support by going and getting those tokens. So for new people that are coming in, they get those tokens and they can swap it for more Hex if they want. And that rebate it might be down a little bit right now, but it was running right around 14, 15%. And it will vary with the market. So that's the real simple answer to start with. It's a rebate. Now, for new people, it's great because then, if they are going to build a ladder, they're going to get a certain amount of comm because everything doesn't have to be Quattro Cinco, right? And the amount that you get varies with the amount of T-shares, right? And they get some amount of value back that they can hold liquid in Comm, or they can hold liquid in Hex if they swap the Hex, or they can do what we do in DeFi, whatever they want, right? So I think it's ingenious that way because it's hard to see, but it's getting rarer and rarer the further you get into it, and that's not just hyperbole. Because it is based on T-shares. And in fact, if you haven't gone and claimed your start bonuses, you always get the same amount of final bonus, but your start bonus gets smaller and smaller every time the T-share rate goes up. And as we know, we just had our second largest T-share rate change. So for the new people, we're thinking it's great because that's where the automated marketing comes in, right? The idea that, hey, if you do this, you get some of that value back. For the rest of us, we can of course choose whatever we want to do, but it makes a lot of sense to support it because what you can do is actually stake it. And that's what you were saying, Maddie. And by staking it, you meet your requirements for things like your end bonus debt, which is a complicated subject, I admit it, but it's basically what it's doing is it's saying to you, hey, listen, keep your ladder in place and keep it up like this, and you will be rewarded with more comm. That's the basics of it. And there are some gotchas in there, and there's some wins. Like a lot of people don't recognize all of it because the website's a little hard to understand, and there is more websites coming, or a better website coming, just not yet, not built yet. Well, like for instance, I have a ladder and I maintain my ladder mostly. I didn't do it with the intention for Comm, but if I maintain my ladder within the parameters, I get twice the start bonus. So really, my coupon rate or a rebate can be closer to 30%. Now that turns my head quite a bit,
Oh,
right? And I
that's a
imagine
head
you as
turner.
well and others. Yeah, because what it's doing is and it's just set up in a way that hey, you just can't come in. You can come in and get your start bonuses, but if you wait too long, it gets to be less, right? If you don't meet your commitment on your miner, you don't get an end bonus, right? Um,
Ouch.
if you start claiming end bonuses, but you don't stake, you'll get less and less comm in the future because you at some point, if you're not staking the comm, you won't get any more comm, right? Because if you don't meet the I should say from end bonuses, you won't get those. And then, but going forward is kind of like carrot or the stick. Is going forward if you're maintaining your share count and pushing ever forward with maintaining the system, it'll give you up to 2x the start bonus. So it creates all these interesting dynamics around it. Um, and right now we've seen the price do well, and we have people supporting it. There's quite a bit of liquidity out there, and so yeah, I mean, why not take it?
Get that
Yeah,
free money.
and people are asking like who created this token. It's the developer Kodiak who made backuphex.com, which is the only front end I'm aware of where you can good account stakes for Hex, which has
Oh
been
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
critical
Well,
feature for years now.
Well, you can also get account stakes on Communist.app, by the way. And when you get account on Communist.app, you get 1% of whatever that person forfeited. And so let's say you had a big miner, Maddie. You get 37 days of grace period to claim your end bonus on your comm. If you don't claim your end bonus on day 38, I can go get account it and I'll get 1% of yours and you'll never get it.
Whoa.
And so it's actually, some people know this, right? It's on the website. It says it. Again, you have to like get your head around it. So people have been going out and doing the good accountings all the time to get the communists. So it's kind of funny. That's good though. Good funny though. You know, it's providing that incentive to clean the system up.
Sure.
You're ruining it for all the guys getting the 1% right now. You're ruining it for all 7 of those guys.
I don't know if there's 7 or there's 14 of them, but you know, the other part about it is if people don't know Kodiak, you can go meet him in the communist Telegram. So he's in.
That's
so when he built
Kodiak Red, right? He's an island boy. I'm an island boy.
I don't think he's an island boy.
Oh, it's a different Kodiak.
different Kodiak. He yeah, it's Codeak. So he really engendered into this protocol this idea, right? Which is, so those of us who were around with Richard in the beginning when Hex was launching, right? We learned different things like time in the market is better than timing the market. That was one, right? So delayed gratification. And then staking with Hex, instead of mining Bitcoin, staking with Hex, you earn inflation. The only people who earn inflation are those who actually mine, right? So what was the best length to mine would be Quattro Cinco. But of course, that doesn't meet most people's needs because they need liquidity in the form of their tokens being available. So the next step back is to build a ladder, right? So the oversimplified version of that is 1 stake a year for 15 years. Well, if you do that and you keep the ladder up, you get rewarded with Comm. And to the point that you get, longer pay is much better. And if you continue to restake, you can get a restaking bonus to get your Comm up front, and you can stake the Comm and get 5% APY. So you're earning APY on a free token. You know, that is all predicated on following the product market fit of Hex.
Don't pay that 5%.
Pretty cool. It's pretty cool, you know, as long as like the money can stay sustainable, right?
Oh, well, sure, nothing in crypto stays the same. But yeah, I think Comm is definitely like anything that is building on top of Hex and incentivizing good behavior in Hex. Staking seems like a win for everybody, and that seems like why the God Whale may have chosen to claim. It's because it's reached the status of other things like Hedron that are seen as worthwhile. So very cool. And we do have a question here. Thanks for the $5 super chat, B Wheezy Bird. Happy 100th episode. Thank you. What do you think about the increasingly loud narrative that Hex stakers are losers compared to liquid holders in bull markets?
It's exactly that, just a loud narrative. Usually told by people that want you to trade and to buy shit coins. So take it.
Well, clearly, Briz, right? In crypto, most people are attempting to catch the tops. That's the thinking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thinking, you know. So I get it. I don't like. Well, I guess in some cases they are disparaging us, saying we are the losers, and by extension, the fact that we would talk about it, we're increasingly telling people to mine, and which keeps them locked up in order to sell on them. But of course, that isn't how we think about it, right? At least that's not what's in my mind when I'm doing it. I mean, the whole reason I built a ladder in Hex modeled after CD ladders is so that I could have more Hex at times where the market peaks and I could sell. I mean, that was the whole idea, right? So it's kind of like a mixed bag of truths, right? And so clearly, if you don't like it, you're going to say that all day long. I get that. I get that a lot from people too. You guys just want to sell on everybody's head. That's why you're trying to get into my but here's the thing: is okay, don't mind, right? I've said this before with people. Uh, if they like Hex so much and they're talking about it going to 60 cents to a dollar, that bodes really well in the future. I mean, I'm talking about some of the people who have also criticized staking, right? That bodes
Right.
very well for the future because you know what? Every person they turn off to mining just means that my rewards go up.
Yeah,
I can tell
yeah,
people about it and share it. A lot of this is a leap of faith, for sure, right? I mean, crypto in general is a leap of faith. If you instead you said heck started at the beginning of Bitcoin and you were able to do that and just equated it to Bitcoin, how well off would you be now? Well, Crispy, that's not going to happen again. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. All I know is we've been here for 4 years, and crypto keeps growing. So yeah, I have 2039 T-shares, which I never thought I would have, but I do because you know what?
That
There's only
that's the number
10,000
of
of them out
t-shirts
there.
you have.
Yes,
2039.
2039. No, 2039, the year. Yes, you know.
Ah,
20,
15
But there's
years
only
from now.
Yeah, there's only 10,000 T-shares out there, only 106 million hex on both chains, roughly, mining out there. So for me, nobody don't. This isn't financial advice. Don't participate. I'm good.
What? What?
I
Well, all
have
right. I'm
mine.
gonna
I have
argue with
mine
you
out
right
there.
there. I'm gonna argue with you right there. But first, I would be curious to know if you have an estimate for for the max number of T-shares or the likely number of T-shares that will exist in 2039 when we get to 2039.
It's a rough estimate of around 4 million. But that's based on
Whoa.
what we've seen in the past,
Whoa.
and what's happened in the future and restaking
Whoa.
but we don't know for sure what'll happen. Of course,
So,
we have tremendous adoption, or the guys who keep talking about 29 and 30 that are going to emergency end stake, they say, oh, we're going to see 50% of emergency end stake. Maybe there'll only be 2 million by the time we get there. I don't know what's going to happen because it's going to be people who emergency end stake won't be able to get the T-shares back. So new people would have to come in and get them. So yeah, I don't know.
so that, I mean, that would equal 2 million T-shares would be roughly 4.5 times higher yield in hex terms than what your T-shares are paying you today for legacy T-shares. For T-shares started now.
Potentially, because at that point, with the models, if I don't have the payout model up on the screen, but we're talking about that many T shares, paying about 22. Well, at that point, we're talking about 22 hex per T share payout, which is roughly what? So we're about 6.7, 6.8 right now, which is roughly a 3x in the payout between now and then. Um, Not that you would get 3 times more, but that's how much the number would be. But all that time that you're mining, you're getting every year, you're getting more and more. So I don't know. It's sometimes hard to get your head around
Longer pays
how
better.
these numbers go. Yeah, longer pays
Longer
better.
pays better.
Longer
And
pays better
compound
for sure.
interest gets better over time, like exponentially better. The reason why 2037 is the max right now is because you can only go 15.2 years into the future. So when Hex started in late 2019, the longest T-share was 2035. Now it's 2039 because we're 4 years into the cycle. So that's the reason why it drops off. Look, my attitude is I'm staked longer than most people in the system. My weighted average is over 12 years from start, and so um, you know you can say anything you want to me about how dumb stakers are, and we're losers, blah blah blah, and I'm still gonna tell you what I'm doing is I believe in this. I think time locking is special. I think earning trustless yields is special. I think things that Richard Hart has created and that this community has latched onto. I don't think this is being done anywhere else in crypto quite like it's being done here. And so,
Mhm.
whereas other people might be tired of hearing that people complaining or not getting the long-term game, I would still be saying, hey, why not just put a little bit out there and see what happens? Or if you really understand what it is, maybe more than that, maybe more than a little bit to get the job
Yeah,
done.
risk adjusted, of course, right? Based on your circumstance and what's going on. I mean, obviously Godwell's done some big numbers out there, and he will continue to be Godwell forever based on his actions, right? Um, but right
Do you think
now, I
the
mean,
OA
just
will compete for T-share years, or will go the route of Satoshi to phase out of the system?
I think the longer we see no action, the more likely that we'll see no action. But always remember, right in the back of our heads here, the OA could take an action to protect the system,
Yeah.
right? And so there are circumstances perhaps that one could kind of gameplay out where the OA might stake to bring APY down. I don't know why. I mean, we're hitting. I mean, look, if you look at the numbers and the whole meme about the 40%, we're just right at those numbers. So on both chains, I mean, sure the points differ a little bit, but I mean, 38 to 40% ish APY on average in the system. So it fits the narrative. I don't know. I don't have a bona fide reason to know why the OA would change behavior now.
Interesting. Well, we'll all be watching with our popcorn, uh,
Mhm.
anxiously waiting to see if there's a showdown between these Poseidons or whether uh, there can only be one crown. We'll
It
see.
can only be one. Maybe. Maybe.
Speaking of people making fun of us for being staked through the bull market, well, first of
Uh-huh.
all, stop laughing at us. It's not nice, all right? Just because we're staked. That's not cool. But with that said, um, they might be laughing at me, but I'm laughing at me even more. Simply because, like, so the way I did it, I staked monthly for 15 years. I took a big
Wow.
chunk of money and I made stakes every month for 15 years. And so that means I get a monthly income of Hex. And when the bull market is here, I can take those monthly Hex and do whatever I want to do with them. Um, but the real benefit of being staked out for that long throughout the bull and bear market is that throughout this bear market, I've just been generating a ton of hex for myself. And
Mhm. Mhm.
it's kind of hard to like
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
voice that and have that really come through as a like, oh wow, like this is actually a really good thing. Also, with that said, I also have a 30-day rolling stake that is pretty
Ooh.
big. It's like 25 to 30% of my stack. So I have, 30% of my stack that's available every single month. And then I just restake it. Meanwhile, my long-term stakes, I don't really even have to think about that except once a month, and then I'm just kind of like clicking it, and then I add it to my rolling stake. So I am losing T shares every month because my rolling stakes, it's getting smaller and smaller, really. Even though I'm adding hex to it, the 30-day rolling stakes kind of they will eat up your T shares.
Oh,
So
sure. Yeah, I mean, they'll hit you. Sometimes you can, if you're not putting in more value and you're trying to go just for the 30 days, some of them are getting hit 20, 30% in terms of T-shares, less T-shares.
yeah.
Because the way the share rate works, I mean, it just goes up and to the right. But I think a lot of this comes from what thesis are you coming into crypto with? Are you coming in that you're going to catch the tops and sell? Or are you looking for passive income? And there's others, right? I mean, there's a couple different ways to look at it. But if you're in an up, so you can compare it to Bitcoin, right? So with Bitcoin, would you be okay if you had just hodled, 10,000 Bitcoin from 2012?
But you
I'd
don't get
say,
it. If you would have sold the tops and bought
yeah,
the
you could.
bottoms, Mr. ChrispyMan.
Yeah, everybody could have done that, but they didn't because there aren't that many billionaires out there that are Bitcoin billionaires, and now they're really getting hurt. With the institutions coming in. But yeah, everywhere you turn, right? That's the narrative. Whether you're talking to Bob Lucas, who's telling you, "Hey, you need to time the top and sell," and for the bear, or you're talking to any other influencer in crypto, that's all they're talking about all the time is selling the top. And so I don't know how it's any different when we talk about hex, right? That the idea is I'll have more. I mean, you use that example, Briz, during the time that for the miners that were in for the long time that are earning the 60% APY, they got 3 times more hex now than they did than at the top of the bear. I mean, top of the bull. Um, I don't know what to say about that. Could I have done better? If I suppose, and it's true, right? If I had kept everything liquid, and I sold the top, which is great, right? It's against the narrative anyways. Everybody keeps pushing at us, and I held for a year and a half before I redeployed that. Then I suppose they're right. I would have a lot more units, but for me, there's just so many unknowns about what I was going to do during that period. I mean, I certainly had other cash available. How hard did all these people go in at the bottom when we hit the bottom prices?
Are you telling me
Yeah.
at 50-cent hex, you didn't know hex was going to go back to a penny? Come
No,
on.
I would.
Everyone
Hey,
knew that.
I
Everyone. Just kidding.
didn't know that. We were still in January. I was still like, hey, this time's different, baby, right?
This
But
time
but
it
I had
is
set I had
different.
set all my stuff up for second and third cycles, not first cycle. That's
Yeah.
probably where I made a mistake. I didn't have much exposure in first cycle, so.
If you guys aren't holding your coins until the
There's a question
2028
here.
bull run or the 2032 bull run, you're doing it wrong. Sorry, go ahead, Maddie.
Oh, you're good. And if you really want to do it right, you can time lock for much longer using Time Pays Me and Deci or whatever the latest thing is. We have a question here from Hexpert Staker who says, I haven't bought anything since the SAC and got PHEX, PulseChain, etc. What is the cheapest place to buy PulseChain now? Still have to buy ETH and pay gas fees to send to the PulseChain network. So there, if you're buying hundreds of dollars, you might set up an account with 0x Coast, the number 0x Coast, and they are a fiat on ramp. If you're doing thousands of dollars, I think they hit you with like a 2 to 5% fee. The way to get with a much lower fee would be to buy Coinbase, get US dollar coin, USDC. Make sure you're comfortable using self custody, which if you sacrifice for PulseChain, I suspect you are. Make sure you use a hardware wallet like the ones, the Trezor in the description below. And you're going to take the USDC, you're going to send it to yourself in your MetaMask on your hardware wallet. And then you're going to bridge it over to PulseChain using bridge.pulsechain.com. And that will cost a little bit of ETH. Right now, it's in between $10 and $30 is what I've seen to do a bridge transaction. You wait 15 minutes. You then you've got your USDC on the PulseChain side. If you haven't gotten into PulseChain ever before, you need to add it to your MetaMask, the actual chain. You go to PulseChain.com and you click the button to add PulseX, and it'll add the PulseX token and it'll add the network settings for PulseChain. Otherwise, you can type them in, but hitting that big button on PulseChain.com is what's going to get you there to add the RPC settings. And your MetaMask will switch over from Ethereum to PulseChain. So, and then once you're there, you can use PulseX.com as your swapping, or a lot of people are using an aggregator called Kiteas.io, Kiteas.io, and that's where you do your swaps at. You find your USDC and swap it into Pulse or PulseX or Hex or PHEX, whatever you're trying to buy over there. That's how I would do it. And I think those instructions, you should find it on my Medium blog written out.
And if you want to save yourself a couple steps, don't get MetaMask. Just send your money to your internet money wallet. Then you don't have to even add the coins. They're already added in there for you. And they also have a DEX aggregator. No, not a DEX aggregator. An aggregator of aggregators. An alligator of alligators. That's just another option. Sorry, Maddie, good.
No, yeah, you're filling some time while I'm going to my blog and making sure I actually have the instructions on there. I've been writing so many articles these days. I don't remember what I've published. Here we go. Yeah. So these instructions, I'll drop the link in the description below. These are your instructions to claim Comm as well, kind of next to each other. But if I share my screen here, you're going to be able to see everything that you need in order to buy PulseChain. Just how actually in this step I made it shorter. Instead of buying USDC, I'm just telling people to buy ETH. But if you're buying thousands of dollars, you don't want to pay the Coinbase fee, the hidden fee of like 1% of a spread from what the true price of ETH is. You don't want to pay the fee that they're going to charge you. So you can buy with your bank account USDC for no fee. And then sending it to your MetaMask is only like $3 to $10. Even though you're going to need to have a little bit of ETH there, you should probably know how to do all that. So these are the instructions here, as I just described. Great question.
Boom.
Now, did you guys hear about BankX?
I did. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. They put up
they have 700 million EHEX, and they put half of it up for sale on a V3 liquidity position, like a responsible whale would. And it's for sale, I believe, in between 1 cent and 2 cent, roughly. And so that's a buy wall of like $5 million or something, some single digit millions of dollars that needs to be bought through. And then
I heard 6 billion.
Then they're out. 6 million, great, perfect.
Which in the grand scale of it all isn't that much. I mean, I think we've gotten the community to pay for NASCARs that much, right? Maybe not quite
Not
that
quite
much.
that much, but yeah, we're well on our way.
So,
How do I sell my
but
position higher
it's
with
only
the?
half of what they got. What do you think they're planning on doing with the other half?
You never
A
know.
little
I mean,
sneaky.
people, they could use it for liquidity with their own token. They could dump it on the market. They could wait for the price to be $100 per coin. They could stake it. They could do short rolling stakes. They could do a Quattro Cinco stake. They could create a Maximus DAO pool party. Have you guys heard about the latest Hex innovation from Pool Party?
I have.
I heard they went live. So that's also pretty cool. Everyone can now make custom pools. You know, one of the things I was kind of bummed out about was when I wanted them to do a 15-year long Maximus stake every year.
Same.
I was like, you know,
Yeah,
that to me seems like a really good idea. And now I can do it if I so choose to do it, if I wish to do it. So that's
I
pretty cool.
I think the greatest value is going to come if we can get like a critical mass of people to do a 15-year perpetual. Although they did build tools into the system so that the system can incentivize people to take advantage of liquidity, even if it's spread across many diverse tickers. And so it sounds like Dipcatcher and Goldkey have put months, if not years, into designing this system so that people can, uh, with only contract risk and not counterparty risk per se, can create pooled hex stakes, which means bigger can pay better in some cases, right? That's a bonus. They can go up to 10%, but just as you're saying, to be able to create a perpetual is the 15 years that doesn't exist now, and the more people who do that, the problem was always there's not enough liquidity. However, they have some sort of like marketplace listing thing that identifies when there's a good deal out there, and so that'll possibly help with that issue.
So I got a question. Maybe one of you will know. Um, when it comes to the pool party stakes and like the individuals making them, who pays for the in stake fee? Do you guys know that? Is it shared amongst everybody, or is it like the creator of the stake has to
I
pay
think
it?
there's a fee that's set up ahead of time that incentivizes
Yes.
it.
All right.
Like to set up a pool, you create a fee that incentivizes somebody to run the function.
Yeah, I think in theory the having unlimited pools is great. But you guys remember there was a staking pool before Maximus that never got off the ground. Are you guys aware of that?
Oh yeah,
What was it?
You know, I forget the
Tagash.
exact name of it.
What'd you think? What's it called, Bandy?
Just I thought one of the developers was Tagash.
Oh,
I don't know if I don't know if he was or not, but there was a small community of people, but it petered out because you really do have to push the narrative. Now, Maximus DAO, those guys did a great job because they got people excited and involved, and they did the Maximus, and they did Decimus, and they did Lucky, and they did Trio, and yada yada yada. Um, uh, how many, how many people are going to join different pools? I don't know. It's still uncharted territory. So I'm positive that hey, it might happen, right? I mean, but just think about this. You go create a pool. Okay. So what happens now? You got to go market your pool.
yeah.
I mean, who's going to? I mean, oh, maybe somebody will go see it and say, "Oh, I like Maddie's pool," but how does it get 150 million to maximize the benefit? I don't know.
Well, why would a whale not use that? If you have 100 million hex and you're going to stake it, why would you not use that to get other people to stake with you?
Why, if I'm already a whale, why do I need anybody else? I already got so much. And why would I open myself up to the third party risk? Yes, I know everybody say, oh, no, there's no third party risk, but I don't know.
Contract risk.
I mean, there are contracts, right? I'm not involved enough to know, the details of that. But I mean, you asked a question, like, why wouldn't somebody? I mean, why wouldn't you make every one of your miners, one of those? I don't know.
It'll be really cool to see how it goes. I think they built a lot of bells and whistles onto it, so it'll be interesting to see how it works. I know that there's one person who created or who is creating a quarterly staking perpetual.
Oh, I was going to say the pool party,
I think
it does feel like it's been extensively worked on. It feels like they really took their time with it. Unfortunately, they got rushed with the Maximus stuff. If anyone that remembers, it was kind of a I don't know. I think Richard said, PulseChain should be out in the next like 2 weeks ish. It was like a year later.
Yeah.
And so they rushed out to finalize the Maximus contract. It only collected Hex for like less than 14 days before they sealed it up and sent it out 15 years. So that, like I said, they got rushed with that one, and it still ate up a lot of Hex, which is really cool.
It was very successful. Yeah,
it was very successful, even with being rushed. And so, in my opinion, I think this pool party contract, when it's marketed correctly, it should eat up a lot of Hex. And man, we could really see a high dollar value for Hex before we know it.
I think you're right about the marketing. I mean, there's over a dozen pools that are already lined up to start. And so it's really going to depend on, whether people participate or not. And there's a fee, possibly for some of them, depending on who set it up. So, you're paying the originator a fee as well. I mean, that might be an argument for why somebody might not do it.
But if you get in with like 150 million pool, you should be getting that extra bonus rewards. Therefore, the fees should be negligible.
It depends on the length, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going in with 150 million and you're going to pay 1.5 million in fees before you even get started, maybe, if it's a 1% fee. So I don't know. Like I said, I think it's going to come. I think it's it's pretty fascinating because I think it's going to come down to marketing. Really, I think it's really going to be marketing.
I saw one pool was called 1999, and it's like you're gonna party till like it's 1999.
Oh, I don't see that one on the website unless maybe it's on Ethereum. I'm looking at PulseChain.
I think Dipcatcher tweeted it.
Yeah, I don't see it listed, but I mean, there's days ranging from 10 days to 1,616 days. So there's 16. That'd be interesting. Yeah. But I mean, which one I'll have each person's got to decide on one, right? Maybe they have to decide on one. I don't know. Maybe they can decide on
Time Pays Me needs a Quattro Cinco perpetual. Otherwise, people who are just staking DESI for 55 years are really losing out big time. So that's a clear use case for people who want to lock in their 2040 and beyond T-shares and not have the risk of emergency end staking with your lettuce hands, right? So,
one day,
Maddie says go 40 years, not 15.
One day,
hey,
we're gonna be sitting inside.
I have one T-shirt for 55 years already.
One day we're gonna be sitting around the living room talking to our grandchildren, and our grandkids are gonna be like, "You're a liar! There's no way anyone had 1 trillion shares of Hex."
Correct. Yes, I can see it now. There's a question here about Maddie. How does one sell a token at a higher price with V3 liquidity? I also don't know how to view the liquidity on a chart. It depends if you're talking on Ethereum or PulseChain. Ethereum has more charts and stuff built out for it. They have limit orders on Ethereum, which is different in some ways than a V3 liquidity position. With V3, you have to monitor it closely because if it fills, then it can unfill if the price goes back down. So
100%. Yep.
so it's really designed for people who have really big bags that would be pushing the market against themselves if they market sold. Otherwise, if you're dealing with smaller amounts, then you would probably, if you're monitoring at that level, you might just go ahead and market sell, depending on what your goals are. So that's a philosophical debate and something that is individualized for each person. On so you can do a limit order like on matcha.xyz. When it comes to PulseChain, I think Tetra has limit orders now.
They do.
And
Yep.
I think that they do work. And so that would be the way that most people would be doing, trying to sell a token at a higher price on PulseChain. And can you guys back me up on what the exact website is for Tetra?
Yeah, I'll get
Otherwise,
it
I'll
for
have
you.
to go look at my notes.
I'll get it for you. I mean, I know what it is. I just don't want to say it out loud. So I'll go get a copy of it first. I have used the limit orders. I have used the limit orders over there. I thought the site worked very cleanly. And I'm looking forward to
Tetra.win.
Yeah, the omnis.texture.run is the site for the swapping and whatnot, but
omnis.tetra.run.
Yeah, I put it in the private chat.
.win.
What an easy name to remember. Said no one ever.
Are you sure it's .run?
That's what Axis put inside the comment section.
Oh, okay. He would know.
It may be a redirect or something. I don't know, but that's the site I went to when I went through the official Telegram and found it. But good. But that's a good it's a good reason to tell people, hey, go do your own research, right? Because we don't know. I mean, listen, guys, I'm not tearing down the Tetra guys, right? You gotta do your research, right, and figure this stuff out before you start doing anything. Don't be putting keys anywhere. Don't start setting things you don't understand, but go check them out and figure out what you want to do. There's actually quite a few videos now out on the Tetra that you can get, and including they have a new limit order to facilitate ratio limits, which I haven't quite gotten my head around why having 3 to 5 tokens swapping at the same time makes sense. But then again, I'm not trading on a normal basis either. So, but there's all sorts of new technology like that coming.
Oh, like if I wanted to set a limit order based on like the price of Pulse versus the Hex versus just Hex versus $1.
Yeah, you can do like a 3-sided one. And but you'll have to, again, I don't have enough information. I just know the product's out there. I saw a little bit of a video. I can get my head around it. So people need to do their own research on it.
I don't know if this is how it works, and I just had this idea in my head, but it would be kind of cool if you're like, you want to set a limit order to buy an asset, and you go, all right, here's like 3 or 4 assets, and I want to use whichever asset has like the most value against the other one. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of interesting. if you were able to do that.
Yeah, I definitely would say go check out the YouTube videos from Tetra, because that guy, that Dev Neal, I don't know him personally, but his videos have been quite informative and pretty clear.
Yeah, I like him too. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, advice from Steph is don't set limit orders for the same don't set multiple limit orders for the same token on the same wallet, because if it drops completely through your range, it might only pick up one limit order instead of all of them. So it could mess up your limit orders if you don't separate them into separate accounts for a certain token.
Is it like the idea is that it might eat one, but it's gonna pass the other one because it moved the price up beyond it?
Because of just how the contract code like looks at your wallet, it's only going to fill one limit order at a time. So let's say the price of Hex went, let's go to the upside and say you wanted to set a limit order if it reaches $1, and then you had another limit order to trigger when it hits $5. Well, maybe the price of Hex spikes up to $10 because somebody's rage buying, and then you know, then you would basically, it could hit your $1 limit order, and even though it goes up and touches your $10 limit order and your $5 limit order, those didn't execute because it was on the same wallet as the one that did, strangely. So that's something that's said by people who use this very often on Ethereum, and so I would always take that into consideration when I'm setting limit orders on the blockchain. I would want to spread out my 3 hex limit orders in that example into 3 different addresses, so that they could each fire 1 per address basically. And then if I had Pulse limit orders as well, maybe I would separate those out by addresses too, or maybe I would, it would just be per asset, so I could still have Hex and Pulse in one. But you'd have to test that yourself and see what's going to happen before the big, candle up or down that you've been waiting for years, and then it happens, but the blockchain doesn't execute your wishes. So
No.
test it in extremely small quantities first, and PulseChain should be good for that, because on Ethereum, if you test in small quantities, it can mess you up, because if the gas fees are high, then it just won't trigger, because that has to go into the equation for the ARB bots to even fill the order. So
yeah, I think a lot of people might misunderstand when we talk about limit orders. They think they are avoiding slippage. It's not that they're avoiding slippage. There is still, whatever slippage exists. What they're doing is getting the price they specified, right? And that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're talking about, gas fees. So you can do a limit order and still slip the price, right? Because it's just that you got the price you wanted. Whatever
sometimes the limit orders don't get all the way filled up, right?
Well, and that's partially the reason why, Briz, is because you can't get the price with the slippage in the market. All right, we've seen that come up the last couple of days. A lot of times people ask, and I put this in and I looked at the market price. The market price was below my limit. It didn't fill it. Yeah, but if you go to Pitius or somewhere else, you go look at the slippage. The slippage is so great that isn't the price. You didn't reach that price yet. It still needs to go another 5%, 10% higher before you could actually get that price. It's still, I guess you can argue it's better, particularly if we're in a go up mode on an asset, to get a limit order in, because at least you're not hurting, you're not hurting the asset as much, but it's still a sell against the asset,
Yeah. And I mean, another benefit of a limit order that's like well placed and executed is that you don't have to be sitting in front of your computer in order to get the price you've been dreaming of.
Very true.
You could go away from crypto for long periods of time and enjoy your mental health and
You can go
come
into your
back.
front yard and lay on the grass and
That's
have your
right.
limit order filled
Count blades of grass.
while letting the
This
sun bathe all over you,
In
this is
Southern
not grass
California, that's
advice.
how it is.
completely
Yep.
naked.
That's how it is in Southern California, I hear.
Can I ask, Maddie, can I ask your opinion on the wildest crypto story I read all week?
Let's hear it.
Wild.
All right.
Briz's wild
And
crypto
this is,
stories.
I don't know why this even surprises me anymore. But did you guys hear about the SEC or maybe the lawyers from the SEC requesting for a delay in the first meeting so they can go on spring freaking break?
Ah, that's right.
What the heck? What the heck? And apparently the due date for them to submit their information was the 16th, and they submitted that request for extension on the 16th. So, dude, I don't know, man. That just feels so unprofessional. Like if I would have went to one of my teachers and said, "Hey, I know the homework was due today, but I need to go party. Can I turn this in a week from now?" I feel like the teacher would have just given me an F.
Well, I think justice will be served either way, and I also find it comical that it was actually put in the letter, the court letter that was released says that the SEC lawyer wants to go on spring break with his family.
Mhm.
But this is how court dates work, is they especially if you have large teams of lawyers on both sides, or whatever. They change the dates all the time. They wait until the last minute, and that's sometimes a tactic that's used to, you know, have the legal system play out as it will. We see that in 4 out of 5 crypto-related SEC cases, the federal judges have favored crypto in the sense that they decided that the SEC was overreaching on the laws. So um, they haven't ruled on Hex yet, but them pushing it off to go on vacation seems
You know what I
somewhat
just
less
thought about?
urgent than, but who knows?
You know what I just thought about? This might be extremely bullish. I mean, think about it. What kind of lawyer goes on spring break after, like, I don't know, age 23? So maybe these lawyers are like 22 years old.
Probably family commitments, Bruce.
Which, we won't grill them too hard because I think, it's not necessarily our place. But I had a good chuckle just as you did, and I forgot about that news story. It's been such a long week, so I'm glad you reminded us on the show that that the SEC is not rushing their court appearances for Richard Hart and Hex.
A week in crypto is like 3 years in the regular world.
That's right. Very wild. Let's see.
But yeah, I thought that was a crazy story. I'm like, what the heck, man? Especially
got
with like the due dates and the extensions. I'm like, come on, guys.
Well, would you prefer a sooner or a later court date
I
for all of
want it
these
right
cases?
now. I want I want to have a trial by combat, and I will be Richard's champion. All right, guys. I got a sword back there. I'll take anyone from the SEC.
Well, that's not how things are decided in America these days. Maybe in Old England or
Ah,
something. But we'll have to check with our European
Oh
streamers about
man.
that. Um, It's certainly all jokes. So we have 180 people watching now, thousands on the replay. Hit the like and subscribe button. Share this on Twitter. What else has been going on this week? What else did we promise people at the top of the show?
I don't know what else you promised, but T-share rate went up, second largest change ever.
I saw that like 2 days ago. 850 points
What?
It did.
in
It
a
did.
day.
Nice.
Are
It
you
went up
kidding me?
847 hex in a single day.
How did this happen?
I don't know. You'd think somebody might look at this every week and try to figure it out. I have no idea how it happened. It's unknown, Maddie. It's unknown. We don't know anything about how it works.
I think someone got some profits from a stake. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's pretty big stake.
The stake was ended. That sounds plausible.
Yep.
Yes, it's pretty good. It was pretty good. We're we're moving. We're up at that 33 level. Probably end of by the end of June we'll be somewhere close to 35. So I mean, but that it can't go up 10,000 or whatever, 5,000, 8,000 a year without it going up every day, right? It goes up into the right, so it's going up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder
to
maintain those T-shares.
This is approximating compound interest, and so it's part of the equation is that longer pays better, and so the price of a T-share, which is your share of the compound interest in the future, the price goes up based on other people's time locking behavior, and sometimes it goes up a little, sometimes it goes up a lot.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, it's not just simply emulating compound interest. It's supercharged by people not restaking, right? Because the more behavior you have in that direction, it just gains so quickly,
Yeah, I'm looking at the Hex daily stats, and there wasn't that many penalties the day before or that particular day. I'm just trying to
is Hex daily stats up and operating for PulseChain now or no?
Yeah.
Or just Ethereum?
Both.
Because it had been behind 4 or 5 days.
They have a new domain, don't they?
Oh no, you're right. It is behind a few days. Their last day on PulseChain was 1535, and it's currently day 1542. So yeah, they're behind a week on the PulseChain side.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with. I saw some people mentioning it, but that was what I was working. The reason I know that is that's what I was working on before this call, because my models where I pull data from that common area is kind of blew up, so I had to go reroute to different data.
The new website is hexstats.today.
Yeah. What had ended up happening is Key owns that one. He replicated it, Hex daily
stats. Did he go on spring break?
And then he just forwarded. He forwarded over where Ryan forwarded over Hex daily stats. It's the same site. It's just that the base site is hexstats.today.
Cool. I don't know why we don't get
so they're both
pissed
broken
off at the T-shirt rate going up. Like, aren't we supposed to be griping about this? Like, damn it, we're the OGs. We're supposed to maintain our position in the system, but somehow this whole system is a little bit more fair, and it's leaving meat on the bone for new people. Like,
well, it pisses me off when it pisses me off when I end a stake. But up until then, I'm pretty happy, because it slows down the ability for the shares to rise. But as a new guy, when I put my new guy hat on, I'm pretty happy about the fact that I'm kicking the old guy out, right? So, I have miners that end this year, and I got really great share rates. I can't get them again.
Longer pays better. Can somebody explain what this system will look like when 1 hex equals 1 share? Ooh, that's a fun question. That's pretty
That
far
would be
out there.
That would be a fun theoretical, huh?
Yeah. I've been asking ChatGPT to like model compound interest for me, and it even with version 4, it struggles to get very far, like because compound interest is such a dynamic system in and of itself. But I think for hex, I mean that's really far out there, isn't it? If when 1 hex equals 1 share, well, that'll never happen. It's going in the opposite direction. Maybe when you mean not 1 T share. Oh, one share, literally 1 share.
Yeah, I'm trying to just wrap that around my head. I'm like,
yeah, because for
that's a
1
long
T share,
time.
you're already moving in the wrong direction. But for like
Well, yeah,
1
what they're
share or a single share,
what you'd be essentially saying is that the rate right now is 33,000 something hex per T-share, right?
mm-hmm.
And so you would be talking about it being well 1 hex per share, so 1 trillion. 1 trillion hex.
A trillion hex per T share.
Yeah. I guess I could model that. I mean, I have the capability. I could like try to figure it out. Right now, we're only up in the 100,000s, but how many years would that take to get there, Maddie? I mean, we're at 33,000. It goes up 25% a year, the share rate. It's a long time. It's a long time.
I mean, before the sun engulfs the earth,
That'd be a long
I would
Maybe.
hope, like,
long time.
we're
Never been
gonna
in
need to get
something.
Aubrey on that as well, by the way.
Have you guys heard about the most recent
What was Crispy gonna
celebrity?
say on this topic, though?
I was going to say that it's so weird that we can be looking at these numbers, and on the one hand, we're like, oh, it moves so slow. And then we're like, oh, it moves so fast. And then we're talking about the same subject. It's just a matter of what you're looking at, you know, like, oh, damn, T-share rate only goes up 25% a year. And then we're like, oh, man, look, T-share rate goes up.
It's already
It's
done
just,
a 2x.
it's kind of like that balance, like, you know, anyways.
Or maybe a 3x, I guess. Have you guys heard about the latest celebrity hexagon?
I don't. I hope. I
want you
wish
to
that
tell
was
us.
true. I like him. I like him.
Yeah. You can't see me, Mr. John Cena. I saw this comment from Fox Mulder saying, be real. If the future of X is really going to be decided via combat, you write in the bench in favor of John Cena. That's come on.
Come on.
I think I could take John Cena. He doesn't seem like that big of a guy. But yeah, maybe he should be the champion. So I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. What was that?
So for the audience, who is John Cena?
He's an American
from boxing
wrestling
or something,
and an actor, and he's very popular amongst the kids, I hear. So I don't know. He's just an actor and an old ex wrestler, WWF. B Roots probably knows him. But no, it's just kind of funny because everyone's all, look, John Cena follows me. And I go to John Cena's page. He's not following me. So all of a sudden, I'm going to start thudding him. And I realize he's also following. No.
No FUD. No FUD.
So, but he's following 730,000 people. And so,
and there's 14 million people following him. So you have a 1 in 50 chance. Am I doing my math right there?
Yeah, I think 1 in 30. No, probably. I don't know.
Well, I think it's 1 in 50. So, Brisology, you could be the one.
I could be the one.
Hit the
But
follow button and see if he follows you back.
of course he's gonna follow me back. I'm Briz. And he has
Well,
a bot
if you
follower.
fail, you can try the
I'm
1200 Simi account.
Briz.
I'm following like 2,000 people on my personal Twitter, and I find that to be exhaustive. So
Okay.
I don't think John Cena is actually following all these people. I think,
He's not reading all their tweets, all 700,000 people's tweets.
well, I think he's reading all the Hexagon tweets. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
Thank God. Well, the more celebrities that want to follow Hexicans, the better, I say. But they need to follow you guys first, because it's ChrispyMan and Brisology are dropping tons of alpha compared to like, who are the celebrities going to follow? Just other celebrities that don't know about Hex? That doesn't sound right. Okay, I don't know what the t-shirt rate is now. For my ChatGPT calculation, I just used 34,000.
Sure, that's fine. It's 33,200.
All right, well, you only have a few days then, or however long it's going to take. But all right, so to grow an investment, right, it doesn't matter if we're calculating 25% dollars or units of whatever. So if you do 25% compound interest to go from 34,000 to 1 trillion, if it really is compound, which I believe it is, it would take 77 years, according to ChatGPT, assuming it's
Wow.
not hallucinating.
To get to 1 trillion
To
hex per t-shirt?
To get to 1 hex only gets you 1 share instead of 10,000 hex gets you 1 trillion shares.
77 years.
So that means that,
some of us got that in them.
Yeah. That's rough. So you're down to K shares. Right now we're at T shares. Then you have to go to M shares then you have to go to B shares for billion shares. Then you have to go to M for million shares, and then you get to kilo shares.
Yeah, it's probably a good bet. Some of these kids here, I call them kids, like Briz, young guy like him. He might be around at 77 years, so you might want to make sure you got some exposure to T-shares. I don't know.
Yeah, just in case it catches on, as Satoshi would say.
100% I'm going to be here in 77 years. I got sci-fi in my back pocket.
Sci-fi.
And we got stem cells being generated. So there's no doubt I'm going to be here in 77 years.
Is it amazing that is even possible? You remember, one of the things I've learned over life, right, is pretty much don't believe when somebody tells you it's not possible. How many years did we go along with them saying that there's no way to stimulate stem cell growth, right? But now, besides the transplants, right? I mean, now you actually can. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I don't know.
Medicine knows nothing.
Next thing you know, we're going to find out the Earth's really flat. Space is full of water. There's aliens at the center of the Earth and in the ocean. I don't know. Man, we get everything. Everything's happening at one time. Briz is a lizard.
I'm ready.
Briz is a lizard person. I don't know. I just don't. Do you identify? I don't know. Do you identify? I don't know.
Imagine telling people 100 years ago you'd be able to have real-time conversations face to face with people on the other side of the planet in real time on a little piece of plastic.
Whoa. There was one dude that did do that, right? You're so young, you probably don't know who Dick Tracy is.
I know Tesla.
You know Dick Tracy though?
Oh yeah.
Dick Tracy had a watch, he could talk to anybody. And that was in the 30s, dude. Imagine that.
True.
Science fiction comes to life,
Full circle.
It's a circle of life. All right, Lion King.
So guys, is there what else we have?
I don't know.
I thought there was a term. I heard a term once for like the amount of technology leaps needed to like kill somebody from shock. Like, but I can't find it right now. ChatGPT doesn't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, maybe the chat knows. So, what else is going on? All right, we covered BankX, we covered Godwill, we covered T-share rate increase.
Ben Armstrong
covered-
price prediction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said a quarter of a penny for Pulse.
Quarter of a penny.
Well,
that was his medium term, and
that was his medium.
Yeah, his high is 1 penny Pulse during the bull run. And I think
so
he
what
said
do you guys
$1
think about what Sami is saying?
Which Sami?
Your friend.
Oh, you mean the bull Sami or bear Sami or medium Sami? Because he's got a lot of Samis.
The one we have right now, yeah. There's 4 hearts, so the middle one.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I like listening to him because a lot of it resonates as possible truth, right? But you know, and I think it's important for people to be aware of different stuff. I know some people giving him some flack now that he's he may be the fake top prophet. You know, but I, you know, at the same time, you know, what he's talking about is true. What I mean by that is this. There are lots of people have different opinions about what's going to happen and how this time is different. Right. And so when, you know, someone's cautioning you not to be too exuberant and expect too much, and that it might be reasonable when you hit a 20 or 25x to take profit, right? And it's not financial advice; it's just discussing options and whatnot, right? That's all pretty reasonable.
Yes.
But then they're kind of conflating that with also with what happens in TradFi with false narratives to get people to sell. Because in order for things to then pump up, I heard that out on the X today too, right? Where they're saying, hey, the reason why they're going to push this narrative that we're at an early top is so that everybody gets complacent, sells, and maybe even Sami was saying the same thing, and then they'll turn around and just buy more of it up and push it up for a second bubble top. I don't know. I think that's why you just have to see. There's maybe somebody here's, you know, Axis is probably the closest to a truth sayer that I've been able to find, you know, really track it. Briz has actually a pretty good head on his shoulders too with watching this stuff. I mean, we're just gonna have to watch it play out.
So where are we
guess
at now?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Bitcoin's right around 51, 52. It's been playing around with some averages and bouncing. You know, it could tear up. You know, go way up.
Yeah, it's at 50. Hey, Ethereum's at $3,004 now.
Yeah,
congratulations, ETH bros.
It's playing catch up for sure with Bitcoin. I'm kind of hoping Bitcoin cools off myself, and we have a more traditional 4-year cycle, which would usher in you know, this alternate I must say rotation into ETH, and then into altcoins and PulseChain. That's what I would prefer to see. But you know, there's chances that happens that way. There's also chances that Bitcoin just tears right up to 60K and it cools off for a year. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible. And then it maybe goes hard again back in 2025. I heard the most ridiculous thing ever. Someone said 79,000 Bitcoin was the top this cycle.
Was it Richard Hart saying that?
Richard Hart said 79,000 was the top?
Which is why I don't care about somebody's Bitcoin prediction who's not Richard Hart.
Right?
I said it was gonna go to 79, Matt.
I find that preposterous, and quite frankly, a bug that can talk is insulting.
You're not long enough on ink if you're praying for Bitcoin.
I know that reference, man. Everybody fights, nobody quits. Come on, man. Let's go.
But I don't know. I think that's pretty bearish. I mean, Bitcoin's at 52,000 now, and it's not even running yet. It's kind of like it's pretty close to the last all-time high, and we're not even in a bull run yet. So I think it's gonna rip. I think it's gonna rip a lot higher. And everyone should hope that it does, because when Bitcoin and Ethereum rip higher, ETH and PulseChain also seem to rip higher too.
Yeah, it's just premature in terms of previous market structure. But like I keep saying, you just don't know, man. I mean, if you know, I guess. But so I think it's going to come down to the institution, Spurs. We do not have retail interest at the moment. I mean, we have us, but I mean, people aren't calling me saying, "Hey, I'm going to get into Bitcoin," right? So I'm not getting that. So, so who are institutions going to sell to? They're selling to other institutions.
Wells Fargo. Guys, I'll give you a pro tip. Wells Fargo doesn't have the money in their vaults.
What?
Not all of it.
Well,
print some more. Let's go.
They can issue loans, then they're printing money left and right. I think like Sami has a great ability to not only synthesize information for 16 hours a day, nonstop generating content, but I think he also updates his worldview. And anybody who's pushing out content that much is going to have certain insights and opinions, and that's why it's so valuable to watch people over time, is because they might have a reaction to certain market conditions, and that might be valuable information. Certainly when people were dancing on top of a coffin, that was a good time to sell, right? So if you see Sami partying with
I wish I had recognized that.
Off, then, yeah, me too. So it's like hindsight's 2020, and I think typically like what the crypto market does is it moves in 4-year cycles. There's 2 years down, then a year sideways, then a year up, way up, and typically that happens. The year up happens around the time of the U.S. election and the Bitcoin halving, and that's coming up here in 2 months for the Bitcoin halving, and in April, early to mid-April, and then the U.S. election is in November. So it all depends on like what the economy does. Like, is there a new war started? Like, does the money printer go burr, how it always has been, or is it these interbank loan deals where they're paying off bad like investments of bonds and stuff? There's all this like complicated money printing that isn't really considered money printing, but it really is. It's happening now. Yeah, Axis 11 and I were dancing. There are a lot of tall people and a lot of excellent dancers in Hex, way more than the general population. You'd have to ask yourself
right.
how that is.
Us tall people got to stick together.
Yeah, and so Meltoni says
tall people that stick together stick together.
That's right. And so, look, I mean, Sami can change his worldview. I've seen it in response to different conditions. So I think his analysis, even if it's contrarian or you don't like it, it can be valuable. I think I saw him pointing to the fact that part of this typical cycle that I just described, to the 4-year cycle, usually there is a altcoin run before Bitcoin tops and an altcoin run after Bitcoin tops. And some people would say that we've already seen an altcoin run. It doesn't mean your altcoin runs. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But we've already seen, I think, Solana and maybe a couple others do like a 10x here and there. So that could be considered part of an alt season. I think Hex and PulseChain and PulseX have all done maybe a 3x off their lows, totally erasing the SEC news, basically, and getting back above SAC rate in some cases for PulseChain itself, not for PulseX yet, but yeah. So I mean, those are the current market conditions, and expect volatility. That's the name of the game, and but certainly there are going to be people who believe in 100x, 1000x, 10,000x, and there are people who don't believe in that. And I think it's healthy for both to exist because you need short-term and long-term people playing in the game in order for the game to reach its balance point. So that's the macro with Maddie. Back to you,
Macro with
Chris.
Maddie. Well, Maddie, I think, man, when they turn on those money printers, I think that's going to be something spectacular in the crypto world.
The stock market's doing really well. I mean, of course, the meme is this time is different, is what people say as a joke, because a lot of times the cycle repeats very closely to what has happened in the past. But people believe that this time will be different to push like new narratives that don't work out. In reality, even when you're in a bull run, it takes a lot of patience. And, that's why I've really enjoyed the past two cycles hearing Richard Hart call the bottom of Bitcoin around $3,800 back in the day. And then called the Bitcoin top. He called bottoms and tops before I started following him, but he's been quite accurate since then, since I've been following. So I'm like, that's what I'm putting the majority of my chips behind, is like what Richard's going to come out and say about Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that'll kind of, for me, I would rather be risk on with money that I don't need, basically money that I'm willing to lose to put at risk for higher returns. Other people might be starting to hedge their bets a little bit. But hey, I mean, people, if you sell in a 2x, just you might want to stop paying attention to the chart because it could leave you in the dust.
Yeah, it's true. Like I said, Bitcoin is at 52,000, and just like in August, it was at like 26,000, and
Wow.
it doesn't even feel like it's even moved, but it's already doubled. So the thing is that these things, they go up and down and they creep up and down. Next thing you know, it's up and to the right, and it's pretty high, and then it just rips off like super high, and I don't know, it just catches so many people off guard. And then when the bear comes, it's just, they say the bulls take the stairs up and the bears take the elevator down. And so yeah, so I would just say everyone should have a plan to scale out a little bit from where they think is the top, and when they can find that very bare bottom, use some of that money to scoop up the coins at the bottom, and kind of rinse and repeat. I kind of hate that though, because I wish people would just buy cryptos and then use the cryptos as money. Like, quit buying US dollars, people. US dollars is the ultimate
Well,
shit coin.
people pay taxes in dollars. The dollar has the highest liquidity of any asset in the world. So it's I think it's got its use case. But you pay the inflation. That's the cost of having liquidity in that coin. So,
Yep.
and the people who sell, sometimes they buy back higher, sometimes they buy back lower, sometimes they don't buy back at all. And at the end of the day, what you have is a healthy market. So, the more volume and the more variety, the better. Brisology is highlighting a great quote here. He can read.
It says, if you fail to have a plan, then you plan to fail. And everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
I'm gonna harp. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I would harp just a little bit on what I've done with Time Pays Me is I've time locked like 10% of my coins for a long time period, and that what that does is it allows me to not jeep my entire bag if like some horrible news came out, and that I think makes so much sense if you look at the long-term history of crypto. It doesn't make sense for people to time lock everything usually. But
Yeah.
if you have a small percentage, sometimes you don't expect, like, there could be you could go through a personal issue. You could get hit on the head and then you just like cheat your entire bag. So,
It's true. Right?
market conditions and emotions, they interact. And I think for a lot of people, it'll take them more than one crypto cycle to find kind of the more advanced strategy of using multiple strategies at once. And certainly I really like this ability to be able to hold no matter what, to have a drip coming out for 10 years, for 55 years, for one year, whatever you choose. There you go.
Did you, with that idea, did you go back and talk about what if things are different this time, right? So how might that save you in the scenario where this is going to be different this time? Maybe you don't see such a drop as you normally would. And that's what people are getting at with this whole Bitcoin thing, right? Is that
With that ETF going.
I know what I'm doing. I see the top blow off. I sell my bag, right?
Going up.
And then instead, it does a little dippy do, 10%, and then says, "See you later." I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I mean that's the thing
And
that
see you
people
later
are
means
talking
it
about.
goes up a lot more, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because it would have
They
knocked
fake
people
out.
out of position.
They're fake out.
Yeah, typical bear trap, right?
Yeah, you sell at like 79,000 Bitcoin, and then it just goes up to 450,000. And it's like, see you next Tuesday.
I love Sandy.
I mean, markets do this.
Chris.
They leave people behind, and some people have really no idea what it means to get themselves 100x, and then to have to decide you have 100x the pressure that you're feeling now about whether to buy or sell or hold. And so again, like having some small percentage that maybe you're sending to your future self, you're time locking, and then having a plan for different, and having different plans for different portions of your bag, I think can make really a lot of sense.
It's
Having been
almost
through
like
it
somebody
myself.
should come up with some sort of a product that's like a vault, and you put stuff in it, and it just slowly comes out to you over time,
Like a drip.
and you just and it just drips you, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Man, that's a smart idea.
I would love that.
Really a smart.
Maybe we would call it
we would call it something like Briz Pays Me. I don't know.
The name needs a little work, but do you think whoever created this would be so generous as to like make the fee a third of the cost of doing a swap, so that really people who had problems trading could have a huge benefit from this too? Do you think like
the fee is a
0.1%
third of the
fee is like
swap,
just right?
where it's like, how much of the swap A third?
So like doing a swap costs you 1/3%.
Oh, 1/3%. Gotcha.
Right? That's the
Yeah,
fee.
that seems like a
So time
fair.
pays me is 3 times cheaper because it's 1/10%.
Oh, you already
So it's
decided on the
cheaper.
name,
It's
huh?
cheaper than trading. Doing one trade is going to cost you more than just paying your future self. So that to me is like a wildly low fee. And we were thinking about doing 0, but we wanted to build in longer pays better. So if you do a time lock for a year and then you're like, wow, that worked really great, I'm going to take a certain percentage of that and do another year. Well, now you've just paid 0.2% instead of 0.1%. And somebody who just from the beginning said, hey, I'm going to lock for 2 years, they only pay 0.1%. So longer pays better almost in the sense that you pay less of a fee the longer you lock if you want to be locked, that entire time. So it's there are lots of Easter eggs in Time Pays Me that kind of like build to a bigger idea of hex staking is pretty sweet. And if you're not ready for that, then maybe you want to lock something else. Because the majority of the gains in anything from the system-wide level come from price appreciation. If Hex all of a sudden had a much lower APY because the OA was trying to catch up to the God Whale and T-share years, then people who are getting their Hex out would have less Hex to dump on the market, and that would cause the same amount of dollars coming in to push the price higher. So you'd have greater transfer of value. Your yield would be coming in the form of a higher hex price versus more tokens splitting up what the price is. So, I mean, both systems are great. It's like have yield like makes a lot of sense because that's what was traditional. But in the world of crypto, even with Bitcoin, you can get a 6 million X without providing extra coins on top of that because um, the value transfers into the price appreciation itself. Did I explain that somewhat coherently? Crispy, did you get my point there?
I think I got your point. That delaying gratification through locking up will open you up to being able to have your tokens at a higher price, plus yield or rewards, excuse me.
Yeah, like part of the total return that somebody gets isn't just the interest they get, but also the price appreciation. So even if you're not
Yep.
earning more tokens, like with Time Pays Me, you could be still doing really well compared to somebody who sells on a double.
Yeah, it all comes back down. The people who hear that and are going to disagree with you. They're just going to disagree. They're not going to agree with you. I mean, I guess I don't even know that it matters. I mean, if there's people that trade and do well by themselves, great. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If that's what they want to do.
Thank you
It's
for
just
your
not my
service.
path because I just don't. I just haven't. I've seen some people now be very successful, but I don't have that skill set, myself. And that means I got to
I
rely
feel
on
you.
Briz to tell me what Maddie said, so then I can decide. And did I take action quickly enough? I don't know. And then I have all the stress. I mean, and there's something to be said for getting rid of the stress and the worry out of it. So, but I get it. I get it.
Do you guys
I mean,
ever wish that you had a magic 8-ball that never missed?
I do. It's called my head.
I
a
mean,
magic 8-ball that
Nagabo's
never.
crystal ball and magic 8-ball, they've never missed. So I'm pretty jealous there.
I don't know. I feel like he's missed a couple things.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but yeah. Up and to the right, baby. Hey, listen, if nothing else,
I just shake my head.
this is an adventure for sure. I mean, um, for those of us around the beginning of Hex, we were all theorizing, oh, maybe it could be something that goes up over the next 15 years. And here we are 5 years in, and it's up over where it was and getting ready for a second cycle. I don't know. Will we believe in Bitcoin, in 2014? Will we believe in Bitcoin in 2017? Will we believe it in 2021? I don't know. Apparently, it took how many cycles? 5 cycles, 4 cycles to
It
believe
doesn't
in Bitcoin.
matter if you believe in Bitcoin. Bitcoin believes in you.
Bitcoin believes in me.
All right.
It
That
does. It
goes
does.
out to all of you out there.
I'm saying that I'm using Bitcoin because, Hex, same thing, right? I never hit a penny, never hit 10 cents, never hit 20 cents, never hit 50 cents. It's never going back, never coming back. I mean, I've heard all that, you know. So time will tell. I don't see any reason why, but I mean, I
There's
don't see
a
any reason why it wouldn't go up. I mean, over time with enough adoption, blah, 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 attention.
yeah, and I think that what's super valuable that I've found from YouTube is when I had my doubts about Bitcoin, I found Bitcoin YouTubers who believed, and that mood was contagious, and it helped me do really well in crypto. Because if I didn't have my life savings in Bitcoin, when the market started going back up, I wouldn't have had money to invest in Hex and anything else. So
Yeah, sure.
um, that whether it's somebody like the God Whale who just shows their behavior on chain, and they bought like what was it, $200,000 worth of Ethereum at 30 cents, and they still have some of that 30-cent Genesis ETH. Like, that makes me really confident in crypto overall. To know that that person also believes in Hex long term. They've proved, like, we don't know if the God Whale will be in Ethereum 7 years from now, but we know that they will be in Hex because they've proved it on chain already
It's
with
true.
their time lags, and
That's very true.
that's pretty unique. There's a new statistic that has never existed before in Hex that Ben, Sierra, Pro, and I are working on. Do you mind if I preview it with you guys here?
I would love to hear it.
The
Sounds
idea is,
fascinating.
I'm as a crypto psychologist, I'm very interested in like the decision that people make to time lock, and whereas we have currently a good idea of how much the T-share market cap is worth based on calculating the trading price of Hex right now versus all the accrued Hex that you have in your stake, but that is not tradable now. That's a number that we have, but I think it's even though it's useful, I don't think it tells the whole story. The number that I am even more interested in is when people started their Hex stake, what was the value of the Hex at that point? Because they could have chosen to sell their Hex, and they chose to time lock it. And so I think that is going to be a really valuable number, and I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I can tell you it's a shockingly high number.
Hmm.
But I think we're going to need like a good name for this,
Oh, yeah.
because a lot of protocols, they talk about total value locked, but again, they're multiplying by like the trading price, and the coins that are locked in many cases are not really locked for any certain duration. It's just they're just kind of like earning yield in a liquidity protocol or some other like farming situation.
I have
Whereas like
your metric name.
please.
Well,
IVL, initial value locked.
Well, it, we want it to be different than the price that people bought at. So there's a price that you buy your hex at, and then it can go up or down.
Yeah.
There's a price you either sell or you time lock.
You might
And yeah,
you might take a look at the Puell multiple.
what is it called?
The Puell multiple, P-U-E-L-L. I think that's an advanced multiple that you're describing that Axis Alive introduced me to, which is comparing. I'll get it right. You got to look the definition up, but it's comparing the amount of Bitcoin that is out in the market at it. Yeah, Puell. Yeah, maybe it's only P-U-E-L, I guess.
P-U-E-L-L.
Yeah, Puell. Yeah, I have it on my site. If you want to pull that up, or I'll look it up. But it's P-U-E-L-L. It's based. I put the definition in there because I don't know if the best one that can really explain it. But let me see what I have see if I have that definition here.
Is the ratio of the daily value. Puell multiple is defined as the ratio of the daily value of the issued coin in USD divided by 365 days moving average of the daily volume of issued coins in USD.
Yeah, and what it does, it creates a measurement band, and maybe it's 2 steps away from what you're talking about, but it's looking at what people are doing with it versus just the number, like what it cost them and when it was issued and how much inflation came out, that type of stuff.
I mean,
I'll do more
this
research.
Case, the intent is to understand how much do people think that they put in basically into their time locks.
Yeah.
Because you could get a number of what they put into hex in dollar terms or whatever they bought with. When they swapped into hex, they paid a price, but then when they time locked, they did a different trade-off, unless it was on the same day. But for me, when I first got involved in hex, I didn't understand the value of staking. I did some random stakes. Then I started making a staking ladder, but I really amped that up once the value of hex had gone up a little bit. And but I didn't let it go up so much that it was money that I really couldn't handle the value of. For me, there was a sweet spot for where I time locked, and if I had held more liquid, I might have not time locked as much if the value had gone up even more. But I think that the way that people think about whether they're going to sell might relate to how much money that they think they put in.
Yeah, sure. I can concur with that.
I like that.
When I think there's an added dynamic too, so I try to match up some of this stuff. That's how we ended up talking about the Puell multiple at one point. I try to match this up with Bitcoin and what people are thinking about there. And so the Puell multiple is all about I think it's all about trying to understand the incentive that miners have to sell. But there's a huge difference, right, between Bitcoin and Hex in that in Hex, I don't need to sell Hex to pay my bills, right? So I don't have to pay for my Hex stake other than the gas, right? So I think you have a propensity
You mean
less
to pay your mining bills?
Yeah, my mining bills, my electricity bills, or to buy new miners, and so somebody who's more intelligent about this could probably discuss it. But I think you're on the right track, Maddie. That I think that there's that perception of value, and and then there's the the perceived requirement to get out. I think we're headed in a direction for the hex miners that we will get to a point where hex miners, for the most part, only scrape. Meaning scrape their rewards if they're going to sell. And I think for a lot of the people who watch this show, of course, been around for a long time already, and they've already been exposed to it. I think we have many of the OGs. I mean, OGs get a kind of a bad name in that everybody says, "Oh, the OGs are selling," but I don't see capitulation, right? and I don't see T shares dropping greatly. So
OGs are the ones who are locked. We experienced the run up and the run down. So if you're still here, then I think you're a good guy and you're supporting the system.
well, I think a lot of us are particularly with the launch of Pulse and PulseX. I mean, yeah, but not everybody feels the same way. But it's like you're looking at the different things that have come with the derivatives and whatnot, and the fact that it might be in Pulse and PulseChain. I mean, I can foresee a point maybe in the future where I never ever sell a hex again. I just lock it up. I mean, just that's it. So that would be, it's a mind bender for sure, right? Is that going to be everybody's path? I don't know.
Yeah, probably not.
It'll be really interesting to see how the system performs and what the community comes up with, what Richard Hart and the SEC come up with, because I mean, also Coinbase. Like I've been tweeting at Coinbase, and lots of people have, I know the most advanced take is like, oh, it's okay that we're not on Coinbase, blah blah blah. I agree with that. I just think they sent me this free hat. I wanted to thank them. The tweet got an immense amount of traction, so I followed it up with another tweet. I see other people making really
That's a
good
real Coinbase
tweets.
hat?
Yeah, they ran a program on Twitter, and it only cost a penny plus $10 shipping to get this hat. And on the back it says, "Make crypto make sense." And they're trying to push earning yield with JP Morgan, USDC, dollar coin, bug eater stuff, which is fine. Like
I
if
think
the
I got
world
that
wants to get
same
into
hat.
crypto, no way. Brisology also minted a 1 in 10,000 Coinbase hat. They also creepily sent it to me in like less than 48 hours, like to receive it. So that was cool. But I mean, Coinbase, they updated their PulseChain information. I know that was the headline in the past week, was that, oh, what if they're getting ready to list PulseChain because they updated the description of it? They got the description wrong. They said that it's a
No, it's a little
what
bit
did they
different. It's
say?
not. It says.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's a cool hat. That's old school.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to get sued by the Bitcoin company, so they made the B like that. I guess I don't know.
Oh wow.
I think they were trying to make that the Bitcoin.
What Bitcoin company?
Yeah.
Hey, I have when we get a little further along, I have a special interest discussion I can throw at you guys. I know we're
Let's
getting
go.
close to the end.
Yeah, hit us.
So this is a crypto entertainment discussion, not a crypto investing discussion. There's entertainment.
NFA.
Yeah. So I got pretty excited about this guy Allin. I don't know if you've seen him posting about Pulse Wars. It's a new game that's coming out, and details. There's actually a Telegram and there's a website, pulsewars.io. I say not an investment because I put my two hats on. I put my financial money hat on, me personally for myself, and I look at it, I don't know, I'm not interested in this, right? But then I put my gameplay hat on. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. So he's spent maybe the last year working with some developers to develop an NFT game where people can enter their NFTs from select collections or procure NFTs, and then basically go through a series of matches. I forget how many the total numbers, like 20 matches over the bull run, and the cost of entry partially supplies prizes, and then the rest of it goes to the dev team or whatever. But it was pretty interesting to look at, because I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, I could see myself, I'm playing Mario Kart, for Christ's sakes. I mean, I could see myself, getting an NFT and just participating for fun. So I thought it was kind of a novel. I mean, I'm sure they're doing it in other chains. I'm just not exposed to it.
I feel
I was
like
just
there's a lot
excited
of
about it.
parallel thinking going on right now. Because I feel like other people are developing that too.
Wow.
Are they doing it on Pulse?
I heard, yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of stuff, I think, is the jump the shark moment stuff. At least for me it is, because, and by
Jump
that I
the
mean,
shark?
yeah, it's a term about when things just go like insanely crazy. Like, I'm waiting for something that brings crypto more mainstream, that
Yes.
provides more utility than, I dress like I have a big plastic bag over my hat and over my head, and I have a stick, and I'm poking Bitcoin, like the old meme, and saying, hey, you got to do something, right? I mean, actually doing something would be fun, like that. I don't know. I just read the website and whatnot, and I thought it was pretty good. I talked to the guy, um, who founded the project, or is founding the project. It's not done yet, still under audit and all that stuff. But I thought it was a really cool little preview into things. I'm not vouching for the costs and all that junk. I'm just saying, from a game perspective, I might be willing to, go in and get an NFT to play a game. I mean, I'm not buying the Briz NFT.
What? Why not?
Yeah, I don't know if you made it to that one, the one where they had all the different people. But I might buy if you're in the game.
With every Briz NFT, I'll come to anyone's house and give them a back massage. I'm just saying that's what comes with NFT.
That seems a little creepy.
Not true. This is not a place to show your unregistered
I don't have an NFT.
jokes. Your joke has not been registered, sir. I'm gonna need you to come in
Good
and
old
register the
fashioned
joke.
unregistered joke.
That's right. So somebody's asking about the badges. This is something I spend a lot of time thinking about and working on. Of course, the badge program, it's been really successful with the Hex conference. 35 people have badges. It's doubling the amount of organic views that they're getting and interactions on Twitter.
I should check and see if that actually is happening for me.
They're also getting impersonator protection, and we had it set up for the PulseChain conference, and then I added Richard. 27 minutes later, Twitter pulled the plug on the program. There
Not cool, Elon.
There are still people who didn't get their blue check marks back. So what I'm doing is, if you're paying $20 a month, I'll reimburse you for that if your blue check mark got taken away. The solution to the problem
very generous
is
of you, Matthew.
The least I can do, and really the solution is going to be to crack the code on what Twitter wants here. I believe that what they want is they want the PulseChain Conf Twitter account to have more organic history. Basically, I think Richard was a previously verified, he was a notable person that was verified by newspaper clippings that got him a blue check mark before they were for sale. And I think him getting the badge for 27 minutes caused a manual review of the system that was stricter than just getting the organization verified. I think the organization has played by all the rules of Twitter, but it was just, it didn't have a strong history of tweets, because I would just stream the conferences for PulseChain to my Twitter and then retweet from the conference account. And that's what scamming accounts look like before they change their name to impersonate somebody, is they basically they retweet old tweets.
It was a glorious 27 minutes, though.
I agree. And so so here's so what I'm asking people, if you're willing to help for the next couple weeks, turn on notifications for the PulseChain conference Twitter account, which is PulseChain CONF, PulseChain Conf on Twitter. You turn it on. I'm going to be tweeting from there every day, and just interact as if as you would in reality. Like, don't fake a bunch of stuff. Don't like send a bot army after it. Like, just don't go through like liking all the old stuff. Just as it comes up every day, just leave a comment, put a retweet, quote tweet, put a like on there. And, I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure that these are quality posts that people can really get behind and really like. And so if there are any tweets that are coming from that account that you like, just, put in the effort as you normally would. And that will build up the history. And then in days or a couple weeks, somewhere in there, then I think we might be able to get all the PulseChain badges restored for everyone, and then some. So, even if you're not someone who's had the badge before, everybody can help by doing this. Getting the word out about the PulseChain conference, which is coming up here for the 1-year anniversary of PulseChain on May 10th through 13th. It's going to be a really awesome event as usual, and I'm expecting over 100 speakers. Everyone's invited to speak, and I think the format is going to be even better than ever, because on PulseChain we have a lot of content creators. We also have a lot of projects, and so getting everybody a chance to talk is, I think, going to be really unique.
Yeah, I agree.
So thanks for doing that, everybody who's already been engaging with this Twitter account. It's been really strong, and I think this is something we can teach more about in the future in Game Theory Gang. I think too is like how the Twitter algorithm favors certain accounts because of their behavior, and how we can all become better content creators and get the word out about the cryptos that we love.
If only we
Another
had a 2.5x reach on our tweets.
a 2x, yeah, that's part of the deal, that it seems like Twitter is providing people who pay to prove you're not a bot, and to help support the system. The health of the
Would
the
you
Twitter
like to
system
answer?
is relying on being profitable for Twitter.
Would you like to answer Eric's question about the hex badge?
I don't understand the question.
Well,
I don't think he understands it. It's only
Yeah.
the PulseChain conference badges that disappeared. Like I
Yeah.
donated and I got my badge. It's still there.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. The hex badges are still going strong,
unaffected.
and that's part of what. But that account had a stronger history, because those conferences have been happening for longer, and it had its own tweets instead of just retweeting mine. So.
I just want to say to Clay from Nomics, Hexicans unaffected.
All right. Yeah. Let's bring that back. It's like it's like the taco stand that never goes down. Cool. And I guess we're getting to the end of our show and the end of my battery life here. So we made it. 100 episodes, triple digits. Huge thank you to Brisology, to ChrispyMan, and to Tobiwan. This would not have been a successful show ongoing without you guys. I really value you guys as friends and co-hosts. Thank you so much.
We love
Everybody
you,
should
Maddie.
be following you guys and showing you love.
What did you just flash at me, Bruce?
A little heart.
Oh, I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Maddie, congratulations on 100 freaking episodes. That is quite an accomplishment. And
It's a streak that's happened with the same group, which makes it remarkable compared to there are other shows that mix up the group. Like the F and Hangout has been going longer, but it's not always the same people. Um, I think like I've done a 170-week streak of just a solo show, but that's in a lot of ways way easier than all of us coming together, presenting diverse opinions and still being able to get along. And so I really value you guys.
Wow.
thank
That's
you.
right.
Watch out, Bruce.
That's right. With that being said, is there anything you guys want to end on?
Let's go to the moon, baby.
Let's stake long and stake hard.
All right.
Yeah.
And until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Pieces out. We don't have Toby to say things in the background.